I thought the Paladins' halftime adjustments to ETSU's ball screening action gave them separation last Saturday. For ETSU, meet passes. The Bucks have to actively receive by running through catches.
The General Shale starting lineups first for Furman. It's Mike Bothwell, Noah Gurley, Alex Hunter, Jalen Slauson, and Clay Mounce. And this is Gurley against Silas Adeke for ETSU. Back cut and a turnover. Vonnie Patterson with the quick hands on the steal. For ETSU, the General Shale starting lineup, Ladarius Brewer, the ball handler here. Damari Monsanto, Silas Adeke, Sorrell Smith, and Vonnie Patterson.
Both teams man-to-man. ETSU prepared some for 1-3-1. Furman man-to-man more than 9 out of 10 possessions.
Monsanto too strong from 6 feet in the rebound for Clay Mounce.
ETSU scripted their first 2 offensive sets.
Came up empty on possession 1 as Mounce up fakes against Brewer. Hunter missing off the front iron on a triple, and Monsanto, who's got 27 rebounds in the last 2 games, clears the glass.
See a lot of sets offensively for ETSU. ISOs, ball screens, wheel action, high-low.
And a block called as Vonnie Patterson spun away from the contact. It's Jalen Slauson, the one that committed the foul.
And that was one of the set plays to try to ISO either Slauson or Gurley in space. Felt Furman's bigs guarded aggressively out on the floor. Jason Shea looking to attack them in space.
5 double-digit scores for ETSU versus Furman last Saturday. A season high for the Bucks. Smith, Sloan, Monsanto, Patterson, and Ty Brewer all scored between 11 and 13 without their leading scorer, Ladarius Brewer, who never is able to get that pass into Damari Monsanto. Mounce elevates, tips it to himself for a steal.
And Mounce is so good at that. He crouches, he gets low, he decoys you into throwing into a congested area and uses his anticipation and length to spring through the ball.
Good defense by Vonnie Patterson on Noah Gurley, and Ladarius Brewer, who has 87% of his rebounds this year on the defensive side, gets his first today.
And Furman trying to get Gurley going early. Failed to score from the field last Saturday.
They doubled Adeke in the post, forced a miss. ETSU will keep possession. 2 minutes in, we have 0 points on either side.
Pitchers ahead of the hitters early.
See on your screen Bob Ritchie in his 4th season for Furman. One of the bright up-and-comers around the collegiate basketball coaching scene. 83-30 for Furman, 45-14 in the SoCon since he took over 4 years ago. Cross-court pass for Brewer, tipped away by Bothwell. This is a place Ritchie spent 6 seasons as an assistant before stepping into the shoes vacated by now Colorado State head coach Nico Medved in 2017. A .737 winning percentage for Ritchie, entering this year a top 10 amongst active head coaches. Brewer from 30 feet, dead center.
Off that ball screening action, ETSU lifts their offense. Silas Adeke, the on-ball screen at the top of the arc. Brewer curls off with the ball, gets the Bucks off to a 3-point advantage.
Slauson barely keeps his pivot foot, and a disjointed possession for the Paladins, who lose possession out of bounds. ETSU gets the ball.
Well, that's one of the keys for ETSU defensively, is guarding Slauson. He's their safety valve. He's their outlet. They want to push his catches out beyond the arc as you take a look at Jason Shea.
Head coach for the ETSU Buccaneers. Many thought this would be a rebuilding or at least at very best transition year. Coach Shea in his first season for the Buccaneers certainly exceeding those expectations to this point. 4 wins in 5 Southern Conference games and has the team on track to contend for a Southern Conference championship. Smith, contested 2, rims out, and Mounce another rebound. Bothwell goes baseline against the bigger Monsanto with the left hand, left it short, and nothing but Buccaneers aside from Bothwell to get that loose ball.
Good job by Monsanto in space, moving his feet, staying in front of Bothwell.
Brewer off the heel hard, and the rebound for Alex Hunter.
A good look after the hammer pass. Furman, great rotation in the half-court set defensively.
Bothwell misses left of the rim, and it is Mounce on another rebound, his third. Gurley ties the game.
ETSU doing what they want defensively. They turned Bothwell into a jump shooter. Failed to close the deal. Clay Mounce with the offensive rebound in space. That's what he does. Shoot, pass fake, drive right, offensive rebound. You saw the offensive rebound to continue the possession.
4 rebounds aside, 1-3 per side. Damari Monsanto makes it 2 for ETSU.
Mounce left him a little daylight, and that was all Monsanto needed.
Point guard Hunter, one of the 2 seniors on this team, along with Mounce. Bothwell, who had a career-high 32 against ETSU 1 week ago. Gurley going to try again. This time misses short, and there's Vonnie Patterson above Monsanto for the board.
Furman settling for the long jumper.
Somehow getting that pass to Adeke was Ladarius Brewer, and Adeke's fouled as leaning in was Gurley, who has some words for Byron Evans, 1/3 of the referee crew today. Arthur Vaughn and Nathan Quick, the others in stripes here in Freedom Hall. 6-3, ET wins in Greenville at Timmons Arena, where Furman has won 5 of the 6 played there since Jason Shea arrived as an assistant for ETSU. Meanwhile, when games are played here in Johnson City, the Bucks have won 4 of the 5 during that same time frame, as Silas Adeke, the center for ETSU, Northern Kentucky transfer, connects on the first free throw. Noah Gurley fouled him. The second foul on Furman right before that media timeout. And with that pair of free throws, ETSU has scored 8 of the first 11 against the visitors. Garrett Heen checks in for Furman. And the man handling the ball here is Joe Anderson, local product, at least local to this Northeast Tennessee region, as Clay Mounce has that one rim out, and it's an offensive rebound for Heen and a second chance for Furman.
Heen with an offensive rebound in space. Furman trying to get Clay Mounce going. 1 for 13 from the field Wednesday at VMI.
Mounce, same spot, same result. Ty Brewer with that 40-plus inch vertical high for the rebound. David Sloan doing the ball handling for ETSU, his first appearance today, transfer out of Kansas State. Charlie Weber is trying to post up the much smaller Joe Anderson. Sloan keeps it instead, and the finger roll is just short. The rebound for Mounce.
Sloan looking right at that mismatch. Weber with Anderson ISO'd on the low block. Sloan elects to take it one-on-one.
Jalen Pugh, wearing number 1 for Furman, is in as well, as Anderson had a good look at the basket inside off that pass, deferred to Bothwell for a 3. He missed, and Sloan has the rebound.
Bothwell, the clean look off the hammer pass from Anderson, can't get it to go down.
Wow, Ladarius Brewer off the power hop was off balance and still found a way from 6 feet right in the middle of the paint.
Might be the best player in the league at scoring from the mid-range. It's a tough shot, Mike, off the bounce. Love how he came to a jump stop and elevated.
And a charge. Bothwell knocks over Sloan. Foul number 3 on Furman. That's Bothwell's first.
And what did Brewer do that Bothwell did not? The jump stop, and you see the forearm into the chest. Sloan, the veteran play, selling it to the officials, making it difficult not to make that player control foul call.
Monsanto checks in for Vonnie Patterson. He's with Sloan in the backcourt. Weber and both Brewers wait for those two.
You mentioned Garrett Heen in the lineup for Furman. Watch how he runs the floor, Mike. He sprints inline to inline every possession. That's the best thing he brings to Bob Ritchie's Paladin Club.
Brewer called for a hook, an offensive foul with the off arm. He nods his head over to Byron Evans as he jogs back to the defensive end.
Yeah, no argument from Brewer. Good call by the veteran official, Byron Evans.
Teams traded threes early. It's a 7-0 run for ETSU over the last 2:16. A scoring drought of nearly 3 minutes for the Paladins as Gurley and Slauson will return.
Great job by ETSU defensively, pushing Furman out on the floor. Of the Paladins' first 9 attempts from the field, 7 of those beyond the arc, making only 1.
Furman today going for their first regular season sweep of ETSU in nearly 35 years. 1986-87 the last time they did it. Deflected pass in the corner goes for Anderson, who just chucks it up, and that's going to be a foul on Ladarius Brewer, who was late to try and intercept Jalen Pugh, the one that was infringed upon.
And that's a break for Furman. Anderson just threw that ball up wildly toward his own backcourt.
Big foul. That's number 2 on Ladarius Brewer. The only 2 fouls called on the Bucks so far. And same problem for Brewer on Wednesday against Western Carolina for the Bucks when ETSU scuffled offensively until the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, interesting to see how long does Jason Shea go without him before rolling the dice. Bucks touchdown advantage can afford to let Brewer sit a while.
Joe Anderson tried the backdoor pass to an inattentive Jalen Pugh. And on the other end, Damari Monsanto, his second 3, ETSU 3 of 4 from downtown.
How did Monsanto get that open?
Hunter weaves between Sloan, Adeke, and Ty Brewer and is fouled.
I like this early substitution, too, by Bob Ritchie, giving Clay Mounce an early break. Collect himself and watch the game as you see Monsanto with the easy catch and conversion.
He's developing quickly, isn't he? You weren't sure at the beginning of the year what you were going to get from the redshirt freshman, but you look now and he's a top 2 or 3 option for the Bucks.
And the energy that he brings, just pounding both glasses, offensively and defensively.
Hunter from outside. Furman's only scored from deep, 2 of 8 now from beyond the arc. Have only taken 2 shots inside of that 3-point line. They've gone 0 of 2 from there.
I've always liked this guy, Alex Hunter. I think he's the most underrated player in the league. He's their top on-ball defender, has greater than a 2-to-1 assist-turnover ratio. Monsanto from the same spot, heating up.
Basket might as well be the ocean for Monsanto right now. He's got a third 3. Ever the more important with Ladarius Brewer on the bench.
I'm convinced he can make that. Is Furman going to extend and run him off that line? He's too comfortable.
Marcus Foster doing the ball handling. Bit of a seldom used sub as Hunter now wants to go to work against Sloan. Beautiful pass, a block from behind by Sorrell Smith on Slauson. And Sloan forced it the other way, and perhaps unnecessarily so, lost it out of bounds. And we have reached the second media timeout with Furman, a team that has only shot below 50% 4 times this year. All 4 of those times they have lost the game. There are only 4 losses of 10 from the floor. 4 of those conversions coming from outside the arc. And in the early going, this has been all ETSU, who have been known offensively for fast starts from Ladarius Brewer, but he's saddled with foul trouble. So it's been Damari Monsanto for ETSU.
It has been Monsanto from the perimeter, but it's the ETSU defense that has set it up. Boxing up the lane and pushing Furman to the perimeter.
Mounce is back in, but he's been off early.
He has. DHO set play for him after the timeout. Mounce with a clean look, doesn't come close.
Now 0 of 3 from distance as Slauson gets to the free throw line. Gurley trying to force the issue against Adeke. Layup was left short, and Adeke on the board.
Great job by Adeke defending in space, moving his feet, giving a cushion, staying in between Gurley and the basket, walling up and making him shoot over length.
Ty Brewer, a contested 3. That's too strong, and the rebound for Gurley on the contest by Adeke.
Furman, the second team in 7 days that the Bucks will face with the Princeton-style offense. As you see Gurley, the straight line drive to the rim.
Gurley scoreless just 2 times in his career, the first coming against Bob Jones in the very first game of his career. That's Bob Jones University, a non-Division I. Then 1 week ago, 76 games later against ETSU, going 0 for 8 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. That's the only game he hasn't been double figures in his last 12, and he's off to a strong start with 5 points, can make it 6 here.
He is. He's the best player in this conference at scoring over length, and you see why. The hops and the soft touch. Very versatile player for Bob Ritchie, can defend 3 through 5. Never got going against the Bucks last Saturday in Greenville.
75% from the line, missed the chance at the old-fashioned 3-point play. As Patterson cuffs it, absorbs some contact, and Mounce has the rebound.
Took it right at Gurley. Another good job defending in space.
Furman playing with a bit more pace and missing with the offhand. Bothwell, he gets it back, and a second chance with the right hand he puts in.
Relentless, and that's what he does. Not to be denied. He tries to bounce to the goal line or the restricted arc. Missed on his first attempt. There's that on-ball screening action.
Adeke could not keep his pivot foot. Turnover number 5 on ETSU, and they wipe the basket away.
Screen and roll action was there. Adeke just wiped out Alex Hunter with the on-ball screen. Bucks with a numbers advantage. Adeke just couldn't secure that ball cleanly and ended up dragging his pivot foot. Furman's going to have to talk Hunter through that screen. You don't want your point guard with a separated shoulder.
Seems like
Adeke's not going to give ground on that.
Seems like a bit more energy out of the Paladins after the under 12 timeout, doesn't it, Bruce?
Yes, it does. It does. And part of that, starters got a break a couple of minutes before.
And a quick 6-0 run now out of that timeout as going southpaw was the point guard Hunter.
Mounce, Bothwell, Gurley all back in the game with fresh legs.
Truth Harris, backup point guard for ETSU, the freshman, hurls it outside to Monsanto. Six on the shot clock, and Patterson will never be able to get a shot away as he dribbles it out of bounds. This is a Furman team, Bruce, that even for short periods of time is hard to hold down. They haven't scored less than 70 all year long. There's Hunter in between both Harris and Sloan with a nice finish.
Well, very efficient offensively. They spread the floor. Typically have 5 shooters out there. Difficult to help on them.
Bothwell was hopping mad after that missed 3, but his team's going to get it back after Sloan miscommunicated with Adeke. Bothwell now 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from deep.
And ETSU doing a tremendous job of pushing back on him, turning him into a jump shooter, not allowing him to bounce to the basket to his left.
Mounce, another 3. He's not shy. Shooters shoot. And he's found the range. His first field goal today to go along with 5 early rebounds.
He had missed 2 from precisely the same spot. Just went up and knocked that down with tremendous confidence, and that's what you have to do if you're a shooter. Now that's going to set up the drive too. He has an explosive first step. Bucks can't close on him too aggressively.
It was a 10-point lead at the under 12 timeout as we approach the under 8. A 9-0 run for Furman. Harris, an audacious 3, and it was an air ball. And there was a reset to 20, so they're going to have to go and look at that to make sure they get the right amount of time in the clock. That did not hit the rim.
Maybe advantage ETSU because there's going to be a limited amount of time on the shot clock, but going to give Jason Shea an opportunity to set a play here. Baseline out of bounds, 5 on the shot clock. If you're Furman, you don't want a bailout foul here.
Plenty of room given to Brewer by Mounce, and Ty Brewer makes him pay in the mid-range.
Well, how did he get that open?
Shooting the ball much better lately, too, Ty Brewer, up around 65% after a sluggish start to the season.
I think one reason, Mike, he's been more aggressive.
A reach in on Adeke there as Byron Evans has the call. Ty Brewer breaks the 9-0 run. 65%, 20 of his last 31 after starting the season. 22 for 60 at just 37% through his first 3-point lead. 7:48 to go in the first half here from Freedom Hall. Wednesday, the Buccaneers won a low-scoring, grinded out, rough and tumble 59-48 game against Western Carolina. Had slow starts to each half, but went on a 13-0 run to close the first half and go into the breakdown 1, then close the second half on a 14-3 run after being tied at 45 with 4.5 minutes to go in the game. They had a fast start today, but Furman has worked their way back in by scoring 11 of the last 13, Bruce.
And that's what happens. Clay Mounce gets you with the long-range jump shot. You close on him strongly, and he blows by you. ETSU answers with set play to a decade with the deep post-touch ATO.
Just 5 points in the last 3 games for a decade after averaging 6.7 per game the first 10 games of the year. He's got 2 early field goals, or I should say 4 early points, 2 free throws and a field goal.
And Jason Shea uses him, lifts the offense, uses him as a screener in space.
Great back cut. Hunter with the right-handed layup.
Can't turn your back for a second. These Furman bigs are tremendous passers. That's a rule out of the Princeton offense. Defender turns your back. Boom. Hunter right there, and the nice pocket pass from Noah Gurley.
Jason Shea throwing haymakers at the air over on his sideline after Smith was beaten to the spot.
Well,
Ladarius Brewer's back in with those 2 fouls, hard off the heel on that 3, and that one off of a Deke or Monsanto last as Clay Mounce was in there as well, and Furman can take the lead with points on this possession.
And part of Jason Shea's frustration, Mike, that was a focal point of this morning's shoot-around was exactly that, the pocket pass and into the back door as soon as the defender turns his back. Sorrell Smith, a little too much separation.
Slauson, they lob it to the rim. Nice play to get back in position by David Sloan, who was able to swat it away, and a steal for the blue and gold.
Yeah, great job by Sloan staying with the bigger Slauson.
Euro step by Brewer, count it! Hoop Harm headed to the line, Ladarius Brewer.
Great recognition, ETSU with the ISO. Get Brewer in space against Garrett Dean. Off the bounce, help sides late. Brewer through contact and the soft touch off the rim. Great job changing direction and avoiding his 3rd personal foul.
Second basket he's gotten from almost that exact same area today. On the first one, he was fading left. That time on the Euro step, going back right. Unable to hit the free throw. That's been an area of struggle for ETSU, but punching it out was Charlie Weber. Ladarius Brewer with the loose ball.
And don't discount the fact it's personal foul number 2 on Jalen Slauson. Not a lot of size on Furman's front line.
Charlie Weber, the big man, can shoot it, as you see right there. Second 3 of the year, banked in the first one from the left wing a couple of games back. That one as true as it gets.
He deserved that one, Mike. Won't get credit for that offensive rebound, but he punched it out to the perimeter to extend the possession. Ends up being the beneficiary with the nice knockdown from 3. Bucks +6.
Bothwell misses the layup, and he's had a couple in close that have been disrupted, and he hasn't been able to put in. Ty Brewer that time, the one in his face.
Bucks turn him to his right. Not as comfortable going to his offhand.
Look at Monsanto isoing, step back. Oh, Damari Monsanto is hot. And Bob Ritchie needs a timeout. If Damari Monsanto is hitting that shot, it's going to be a long day for Furman. The Bucks, after withstanding...
It's the energy. It's keeping plays alive. You remember that play, Mike? It was against VMI where he couldn't secure the offensive rebound, but batted it, kept it alive, and ended up saving it almost on the sideline 40 feet from the point of attack.
It's that 3, Monsanto, the first to double figures today for either side. As Charlie Weber had that go off the outside of his right foot. He held strong against Gurley, who threw his weight right into the chest of Weber.
And baseline out of bounds, Furman, 17 on the shot clock. They're going to attack the opposite block. Bucks elect not to guard the trigger man with size as they normally do.
Another back cut. This is Bothwell, and after missing 2 layups in the first 15 minutes as we enter the last 5 here in the first half, Bothwell has his 2nd field goal.
And Jason says, we talked about it in shoot-around. Opposite block, baseline out of bounds. Where does Bothwell catch? Opposite block.
And it's Mounce that's going to be called for the foul as 2 bodies went flying. It's foul number 5 on Furman this half. ETSU has the same. The offenses are starting to find it, specifically Furman after just 6 points in the first 8 minutes. They've got 15 over this last 8-minute period. But the Buccaneers have made 5 of their last 7 from the floor.
Well, Furman's more patient in attack mode now. ETSU had pushed him to the perimeter in the first 12 minutes.
How about the point guard post up with David Sloan showing off the strength?
Not a shot blocker on the floor. Sloan into the middle and able to knock one down inside the logo.
Hunter two-man game with Gurley.
Great
Gurley
job.
ISO'd on Weber. Just a little bit of an up fake, and that created room for Gurley to go to the right side of the rim.
Yeah, he's a straight line driver, and you have to know that and put him on his left. But great job by Sorrell Smith fighting over the ball screen. You like the initial defense and the possession.
Bonnie Patterson rims it around and out. Made a three against Western Carolina, not typically his shot, and had that one go halfway down before it came out, and Bothwell walks.
And Sorrell Smith waiting on him at the spot, moving his feet. Paladin, where do you roam? Paladin.
This game has been played the last number of years. It's gone the way of the home team. 5 of the last 6 with Jason Shea on staff. ETSU has lost at Timmins down in Greenville. They've won 6 of the last 7 versus Furman here. Buccaneers have possession with David Sloan handling. Monsanto, this time in the mid-range. High for the rebound, Gurley, but he lost it. Here's Silas Hideki against Mounce. Stepping through with the right hand, a third chance. Vonnie Patterson can't convert, and now Mounce is able to grab the loose ball.
Furman dodges a bullet. Gurley comes for the double team. Nobody rotates down to check out Vonnie Patterson. Can't stick the follow-up.
This is the first action for Colin Kenny, wearing number 2. Gurley takes a bump from Hideki, and Silas Hideki has been called the anchor of the ETSU defense by Jason Shea, and you can see why as he forced Gurley into that mistake.
Takes the punishment, very active, a guy that can push you off the block and guard in space, very versatile. Can defend either the 4 or the 5.
Sorrell Smith on the pull-up, missed it short, but Damari Monsanto offensive rebound, and Vonnie Patterson able to control. ETSU a +7 on the glass so far.
I don't mind Smith taking that shot. Thought it was a little early. Kind of like him isolated in space against Kenny.
Not a good pass by Hideki, and Kenny has it wedged right between the glass and the rim. Possession arrow in favor of the home team.
How can an inflated basketball wedge in between the rim, the flange, and the backboard on a soft shot from in tight?
That's exactly where I was going to go as well. On a 3 from outside, or
yeah, a true brick. I get
shot.
It, but from in tight, check the air level.
Sounds like you're calling for Deflategate Part 2. You might want to tread lightly, Bruce.
Yeah, especially with Jay Sandoz just to our right.
David Sloan swatting away the hand of Joe Anderson. Sloan knocks him over, calling for goaltending. Sloan not coming from the refereeing crew as Mounce sends it back.
Mounce, one of the better off-ball shot blockers in the league, shows great anticipation and timing. Not only got the block shot, but kept it in play, allowing a teammate to secure.
Vonnie Patterson, great defense. Wow, Noah Gurley forcing the issue. They're going to count the basket. And this is Arthur Vaughn having a conversation with the Furman bench.
And Gurley doing what he does, a series of twists and spins and reverse pivots and the soft touch, using his athleticism and soft touch to score over length.
I think maybe a bench warning there from Arthur Vaughn. You could see him pointing to that coach's box. And still having the conversation now. Bob Ritchie giving Vaughn a pat on the back as play continues. No, nothing immediate at least comes out of that exchange. As a steal comes from this exchange, Joe Anderson. And now it's numbers, 4-on-2 for Furman. Down low, Gurley the catch and the quick conversion.
And Sloan dribbled right into the double team, turned it into a triple team, picking up his dribble off the right on the sideline, compounded the problem by loafing back and not rotating.
4 of their last 5 from the field, Furman. ETSU 0 of their last 6 with less than a minute to go in this first half. Hideki just too heavy on the touch, and that went off of the leg of Ty Brewer. Indeed. Byron Evans pointed towards ETSU, changed the call, and said Ty Brewer the last to have it graze off his limb.
Now keep in mind, two things can occur here. Furman can opt to go quick and try to turn it into a 2-for-1. ETSU with a foul to give. No reason to get beaten off the bounce. You don't want Adeke fouling. He has one personal.
Mounce the spin with the left hand. That is an athletic play and the finesse at the goal.
It is. Where's the help side? You have to know he might turn back into the middle. Good job cutting off the inline by the on-ball defender. No help side. Mounce able to get a clean look.
8-0 run for Furman. They're within a point. Shot clock is off. 10 seconds to go in half one.
ETSU can afford to crash the offensive glass. No penalty for a foul on the offensive boards.
There's the foul to give with 5.9 to go. Maybe a bit more time than Furman would have preferred that ETSU has to operate with. And Jason Shea is going to use it or lose it timeout.
Well, not only that, it gives him an opportunity to insert Ladarius Brewer into the game. Situational substitution. So what does Bothwell do? A little false motion away. Carries Monsanto out of the way. No help side. Mounce able to spin back into the middle unmolested.
Mounce coming off perhaps his worst game as a collegiate, 1 of 13 against VMI, and a surprising road loss. So he's out to do more today. As the Bucks inbounded into the backcourt, Ladarius Brewer got to go quick. 35-footer short and not close. Clay Mounce secures his 7th rebound of the first half. That is a game high. We've got a competitive contest here at Freedom Hall. ETSU 30, Furman 20. Set or reset their program record in three-pointers made in a game this season. 16 for the Bucks, their last game here against VMI. Furman hit 21 against South Carolina State, setting a program record for assists in a game, with 6 different players setting career highs that game as well in scoring. So a team that could fill it up. Just 3 of 11 from outside, though, in that first half. They go back to the paint, blocked by Vonnie Patterson. Slauson dishes to a cutting Hunter. Mounce in the corner, no, misses off the heel, and Silas Adeke, I think, got hit in the head by Noah Gurley. And they may go to the monitor for that, Bruce.
Like the set play after the break. Bucks in containment, walling up, forcing Furman. And you see nice sportsmanship there. Gurley and meets Adeke and says, sorry, big guy.
And in fact, they will not review for forcible head contact. Maybe no ill intent there seen by Arthur Vaughn, Nathan Quick, and Byron Evans.
Certainly a basketball play as Adeke slips the screen pass a little too hot.
Ladarius Brewer, turnover number 10 for the host today.
And Furman converted 9 of those first half turnovers into 9 points.
That 1-to-1 turnover to points off that teams aim for. Anything better than that, all the better. Mounce takes Brewer to the rim.
Got him leaning right. Mounce sees a little daylight. Straight line drive and finish. Where's the help side? You know Mounce is a driver.
Furman has their first lead of the day at 31-30, 1 minute in to half two. Patterson left alone. Hard off the front of the rim, right into the hands of Mounce.
Bucks a little sluggish offensively. Mounce within an eyelash of getting a run-through pick 6 on that soft toss.
Bothwell, behind some bodies, rattles one home.
And ETSU is going to live with that. Brewer closes in space, makes him shoot over an extended arm. It's just a player jumping up and knocking one down.
Going back to the first half, it's a 13-0 run for Furman. The Bucks haven't scored in 6 game minutes.
ETSU would rather see a 32% shooter pulling up from 3 rather than Bothwell driving to the basket.
A bump there from Slauson. That's his third. The first on either side to get to that 3-foul mark, as that looks more like the Bothwell that Furman loved last Saturday.
And Bob Ritchie letting Slauson go with foul number 3. Let's see if ETSU attacks him.
Adeke's trying to post up against Slauson. Now does get it. And the dunk with 2 hands. Silas Adeke going above the rim.
Pinned him on the high side. Good job by the big going down to catch that. Help side a little bit late. The catch and conversion. Nice finish by Adeke. Breaks a long ETSU dry spell.
They were just one of their last 12 from the floor. Back cut. Mounce shows the bounce and throws it down with the right hand.
Absolutely destroying the stereotype because, Mike, this cat can get up.
The most thunderous moment we've seen inside Freedom Hall today. Sorrell Smith short on the corner triple, but Silas Adeke earns the Bucks a second chance at it. Adeke, they're doing exactly what you said, Bruce. Slauson unable to hang with Adeke. Has to be a little careful, but I'm not sure even with fewer fouls, Adeke wouldn't have gotten the better of that one.
Yeah, going right at him. Good job, Slauson, walling up. There's not a shot blocker anyway. And Adeke, great jump stop. Softly off the backboard, just attacking Slauson. How long? Bob Ritchie can't afford to leave Slauson in there any longer. Buck's going to go right at him again.
That should have been foul 4 on Slauson, I do believe. But Monsanto will drill a 3. ETSU will take that result as they're back in front.
And with a wide post up, Adeke sealed 2 defenders, allowing Monsanto that clean look from the wing. Garrett Heen about to check in for Furman.
Hunter halfway down, it popped out. Rebound for Monsanto, who's having another good day. 15 points, 4 rebounds.
A little quick. Furman didn't force ETSU's defense to rotate.
Sorrell Smith takes a bump from Alex Hunter. For Hunter, it's his first. And we're at the first media timeout of this second half. The pace has picked up a bit. 7 points for either side. Still a 1-point game. Those of the Southern Conference for the last 85 seasons. Think on this one, Bruce Tranbarger. Who are they? We'll have your answer at the under 12 stoppage.
I have one for sure. I think I have the other one as well. It's ETSU baseline out of bounds. 20 on the shot clock.
And a 5-second call. Adarius Brewer couldn't get it in time. Turnover number 11 on ETSU. David Sloan will check in for Sorrell Smith. Joe Anderson doing the ball handling. Slauson is now out with his 3 fouls. Marcus Foster standing in the left corner, the one to replace him. Back cut, Mounce again! Up top, the senior with the power.
Horns set, ATO. That's automatic in the Princeton offense. If you're denied, go back door. Great feed from the high post, and Mounce with his 3rd finish at the rim this period.
Monsanto has been great from outside, but he has missed his 3 two-point attempts today. And here comes Furman with a 1-point lead. Foster's fouled. They wiped the shot away. They'll call it on the floor, says Arthur Vaughn. It's Sloan.
Furman cleaning up the defensive glass, getting out in transition. Bucks a half step slow to recover. Furman with a baseline out of bounds. 25 on the shot clock. Look for them to attack the opposite block.
Bothwell right around Monsanto and goes to the offhand.
And where does he attack? Inline out of bounds. Weak side block. ETSU talked about it during shoot around. They know that it's coming. They don't get there. Bothwell makes them pay. Furman +3.
Paladins 40, ETSU 37. Games in 19 days. It's a busy time of year starting last Saturday versus Furman, but one of their games postponed. Just yesterday, the announcement that Sanford has COVID issues in their program, so that February 1st contest against the Bulldogs to be played at a later date. As ETSU is down 3, David Sloan fading in the middle of the paint, and he rattles it in.
Adeke slips the ball screen. Furman recovers. Sloan backs the smaller Anderson down, able to elevate and shoot over.
Mounce, boy, difficult attempt, fading out of bounds, and he didn't come close.
Good job not traveling. Monsanto, tremendous on-ball defense. Ty Brewer with the help.
David Sloan making a difference. The first 4 points out of the floating timeout in about 45 seconds. As knocking it away is Ty Brewer. Brewer, is that going to be on the court or in the act of the shot?
How about Ty Brewer at 6'9"? Defending in the open floor. You see Sloan taking it to the hole here. But Brewer gets the run-through steal by reaching with the right arm, deflecting it to himself in space. Almost a flagrant one, Mike, a grab in the open floor.
I almost thought that Arthur Vaught came in and was calling exactly that, but at the last second restrained himself.
I think the trade-off is the foul actually occurred on the bounce. They go ahead and give 2 free throws as if it's a shooting foul, although a movement of the lower body constitutes a try as well. Nonetheless, Brewer to the line for a pair.
This seesaw series that we talked about, ETSU leading at 32-30, has been reflected in this game. It's a run for Furman, a run for ETSU. Jason Shea just had to use a timeout, flipped the momentum, 6 quick points in a 47-second span out of that timeout.
But that longest dry spell into the first half, into the second period. Survive that, garner a 3-point edge, early second period.
Silas Adeke. Could see him doing the kicking motion down there. He was a soccer player until he talked his parents into letting him play basketball when he came to the States, and he just, I believe, took away what would have been an easy 2 right at the rim by showing off the footwork.
Baseline out of bounds. Which way is it going?
Bothwell out by midcourt. Spins back, misses short.
Great
shot
job.
I'm sure he believes he should make.
Great job of communication. Monsanto switches off the drag screen, bodies up Bothwell.
Wow, Damari Monsanto, his first 2-point field goal today. Great body control, hanging in the air as he went down low.
Getting it done on both ends. That's a tough shot. Uses the banking board to soften the blow.
That pass was late to Hunter. He was open for a moment, but Foster just a tad tardy to get it out there.
And Monsanto recovering with size. It's a mismatch somewhere. Monsanto on Hunter. Let's see if Hunter tries to take him.
Great late challenge by Monsanto. Bothwell's trapped. Ladarius Brewer got a hand on it and a shot clock violation.
Great defensive rotation. Bothwell gets the head and shoulders around on the baseline. The straight line drive. There's a decade there to meet him. Skip pass. Ladarius Brewer almost with the run through pick 6. Resulting in a shot clock violation. Possession ETSU +5. As you see, Monsanto, that's a tougher shot than it looks. Even though it's at point blank range, your momentum is going forward. You have to arc it a little higher, shoot it a little softer. Monsanto up high off the square and just lets it drop in.
There's only about 700 or so here inside Freedom Hall, a capacity limit due to COVID, but they really let their hometown team hear it after that defensive stand. Sloan, great cross-court pass. Brewer off the front of the rim. Silas Adeke or Alex Hunter, who touched it last? It was Hunter.
Yeah, I thought Brewer settled there. He had Mounce lunging at him. That's an opportunity to show a little leather and get to the rim. Adeke keeping it alive, fighting in space for the offensive board.
Bucks have rattled off 8 in a row after being down 3. Ladarius Brewer using his size, but can't get it to drop. And the rebound for Gurley.
Good job by Hunter, not letting Brewer back him down.
Gurley tried to go coast to coast, but Adeke did enough to disrupt the shot.
That's why I don't like the running one-hander. If Gurley comes to a jump stop, he keeps himself in play for a potential offensive rebound.
ETSU fans and the bench alike don't like that call that David Sloan lost that one out of bounds himself, but it will be turnover number 12 on Jason Shea's squad as they're still on an 8-0 run at the under 12 media time.
Honesty compels me to admit I did not get the Citadel.
The two tied with VMI for most years in the league as the Keydets went to the Big South from 2003 to 2014, but they started in the SoCon 12 years before Citadel and Furman, but uninterrupted, straight through membership. Citadel and Furman have never wavered. Remember ETSU, when they dropped football, went to the Atlantic Sun. Furman needs some points to break this 3-minute scoring drought. Noah Gurley tries to give it to them, but Ty Brewer grabs the ball out of the air.
Nice defensive set. Ball never leaves the left side of the floor. Bucks with a closeout, limiting Furman to one shot.
Ty Brewer's open in the corner. Seeing him late was David Sloan.
It was a dangerous pass with Mounce on the floor. Bucks survived the long, soft skip pass.
And Adeke sheds Slauson, who's back in there with his 3 fouls for his 9th and 10th points of the day. Double digits for Adeke, 2 rebounds away from a double-double.
Using that strength and wide body to post deep.
Gurley from outside is now 1 of 4. He's been stuck on 11 points since halftime, and this 10-0 run now spans 3.5 minutes. Furman hasn't scored in 4.
And those deep post touches by Adeke, that's not all on Slauson. Guards have to realize that Slauson has to play soft, have to guard the passer a little closer with higher hands and make that entry a little more difficult.
David Sloan was the one that really keyed this run as Ladarius Brewer adds to it with the shot clock winding down.
Alex Hunter left his man to dig, giving Brewer enough space to catch and convert from distance. Bob Ritchie's had enough. Timeout Furman, down 10. We'll hold it right here, Mike.
13-0 run. University, who gave the Bucks a challenge. The Division II side here at Freedom Hall had 9 points in that one, but double digits every other game. He is a dynamic scorer.
And credit Brewer for getting his points within the context of the offense, not forcing, even though he was forced to sit heavy minutes in the first half due to that foul trouble.
Furman has stalled out a few times today, but no run as long as this one has been. 0 for their last 5 from the field, and nearly 5 minutes without a point.
Bucks switch the on-ball screening action. Couple of mismatches.
Hunter in rhythm, but it rattles out, and Mounce is fouled on the rebound by Ladarius Brewer.
Bucks a little out of sync. Alex Hunter ISO'd in space against Adeke. Settled for the jump shot, negating his quickness advantage. Clay Mounce doing what he does, and that's pound the offensive glass. He's single-handedly keeping Furman in it on the offensive end with his offensive rebounding and drives to the basket.
Big bounce back for him today as he has 14 now with that free throw. Coming off maybe his worst game as a collegiate. We mentioned it earlier. 1 for 13 from the field, 0 of 7 from 3 against VMI. I talked to Bob Ritchie and
wouldn't that be a Mounce back? Not a bounce back.
Talked to Bob Ritchie before the game and asked if there were any bad habits that Mounce gets in when he has an off game like that, and he simply just chalked it up to an off shooting night, and everybody has them. Shots just weren't going down. Bad time to have it, obviously, a loss to VMI, but Mounce, you knew was going to be better today, and he's got a team-high 15.
And he can score in so many ways, in transition, off the offensive glass, and really surprising to see him with only 1 field goal. Sloan attacking the trap. The Bucks want to attack that with a shot fake and step through. He does just that to draw the foul, just like he was coached.
And now Noah Gurley has 4 fouls, and so he has to check out for Slauson, who's got 3. And that's bad news for Furman. They are very top-heavy, probably the best starting 5 in the Southern Conference, if not in the region at the mid-major level. But beyond that, they don't have guys that play a ton of minutes.
Well, already thin front line, and they've rotated small, so Mounce moves up to the 4. Bothwell will play the small forward.
Ty Brewer wanted to end the life of Alex Hunter and throw one down right in his head, but while trying to do so, got a little overzealous, was too far away from the rim that went out of bounds, out of his hands.
And that's one you have to finish. Good job by Hunter there, walling up, not fouling, going straight up.
I'd love that replay again at some point. You can see in unison ETSU's bench all jumping up with Brewer as Vonnie Patterson claims a steal.
Well, you had a couple of tomahawks at Cullowhee. Inject some energy into the Bucks. He can rise and rise quickly and finish with authority.
Sloan maneuvering. This possession not going much of anywhere for the Bucks. Silas Adeke has it roll off the rim, but Damari Monsanto puts it back up. That putback gives him 19, 7 of 10 from the floor. That's his 6th rebound.
Over and through the smaller Anderson. Controlled tap with 2 hands.
Bothwell no good. Brewer had it knocked away by Mounce, but it went right to Monsanto. Now 7 boards. ETSU is plus 11 rebounding the basketball. And a foul on Joe Anderson. Number 6, so no free throws yet, but the next one will give ETSU the 1-and-1. ETSU's defense, Bruce, it should be noted, SoCon leaders in field goal percentage defense and scoring defense. 39% they're holding opponents to, and just 65 a game. A Furman team that hasn't been stymied often this year is spinning their wheels.
And true to form, Furman just 4 out of 19 beyond the arc.
Brewer trapped, found an outlet in Patterson. 4 on the shot clock. Great position by Adeke. Adeke's got to hurry. That rolls off the rim, and it's Mounce with 2 hands on it.
Great job by Brewer through the double team. Shot fake, step through, allowing ETSU to get in the high-low action, but Adeke can't finish.
Anderson, a tight spinner out of his hands, and fighting for the rebound were Damari Monsanto and Silas Adeke. Those two will give Furman the ball back after they couldn't decide who is going to claim it. Buccaneers have a double-digit lead, 52-42 at the under 8 timeout on ESPN+. Half of that with 8 minutes to go.
Jason Shea, during shoot-around this morning, emphasized the importance of defensive transition. Bucks have done just that. Very good job balancing the floor, limiting Furman to 4 fast break points to this point. Nothing easy for the Paladins.
0 of their last 8 from the field. Trying to change that. Anderson can't. And the rebound for Brewer. That being Ladarius.
We don't just guard you in the open floor. We can defend point of attack as well. Furman falls to under 20% from distance.
Just 4 of 21. It's simple. When they don't break 50% from the field, they don't win this year. 10-0 when they've done it, 0-4 when they haven't. 39% from the floor right now. 5 in the shot clock. Buccaneers have to hurry. This is the man you want to shoot it. His first miss from out there. Ball's on the floor. Coming away with it, Anderson. Brewer still got his hands in there, and Ty Brewer is able to force a jump ball possession arrow for ETSU.
And if there's such a thing, Mike, that's a quality miss, because if Monsanto doesn't hit iron, then it's a shot clock violation. Possession Furman. Does draw 10. Bucks able to tie up Anderson on the floor, secure possession with 20 on the shot clock and a short floor.
Ladarius Brewer content to take his time. Charlie Weber's got a 3 so far today. 1 of 2 from out there. Brewer's going to step back, and an air ball hit the end line, and Damari Monsanto's attempt to save it will go begging. If Ladarius Brewer would have hit that, I think Furman packs it in and heads back to Greenville.
Well, in a dwindling shot clock, you'd kind of like to see Weber make a play from the corner with Slauson isolated on him in space. Slauson defending with the 3 personal fouls. Slauson, in terms of defending, a solid defender on the hedges, but moving east and west, not so much. I'd like to see Weber take him, try to make a play, and pick up foul number 4 on Slauson.
Speaking of fouls, That's Vonnie Patterson for ETSU. Buccaneers just third in this half, and they're 8th today, while we've got 12 on Furman on the game, 6th this half, as Ty Brewer will check out. Arthur Vaughn, Nathan Quick, and Byron Evans have let them decide it themselves today, haven't they, Bruce?
Yes, they have, and Patterson, the veteran, plays to that, bodies up on Slauson, trying to force him to catch beyond the arc.
Deadeye from Mounce outside. That was a badly needed bucket. 0 of their last 9 were Furman, with only 2 free throws from Mounce to break up what would have been nearly a 9-minute scoreless streak.
He presents such a dilemma. He's gotten to the rim 4 times, so Bucks slow to close. They push back on him, and that's just enough space for him to knock down the clean look from 3.
Bothwell, great range. He's worked to become a much better defender. Bob Ritchie spoke glowingly of him when we discussed yesterday for this broadcast. He rebounds now, wanted to take the ball away. Is top 3 in the conference in steals. Obviously the scoring is there, a potential player of the year candidate in the conference. It's David Sloan. Wow, that's a difficult shot. Nearly putting it back in on his own goal was Gurley.
And
Furman comes away with it.
And Jay Sandoz and I talked about that in pregame.
And Bothwell cuts it to 4. This one not over yet as Bothwell pumps the left fist going back the other way.
A little more on his plate, because last week in Greenville, no Ladarius Brewer for ETSU. All Bothwell had to do was run back on defense and count his points and calculate his field goal percentage. Today he has to find number 25 and get in a stance.
That pass was deflected on the way to Monsanto. It eventually got there, hurling one up sidearm Monsanto. Vonnie Patterson, the offensive board.
Bucks get a lucky break. 2 Furman Paladins there.
Monsanto, his 6th 3, breaking a 6-0 run from Furman. Damari Monsanto cannot be stopped right.
5 or even 6-point swing as Bucks retain possession.
These two teams have split each of the seasons since ETSU returned to the Southern Conference. This building has been one that's not only hard for Furman to win in, but any opponent really. Jason Shea and his time on staff. Buccaneers 74-13. They're up by 7 with 5 to go. Mounce fell over down low, and then Brewer deflected it out of bounds.
The set play ATO, they tried to set up a high-low. Mounce lost his footing, but Ty Brewer right in position, staying with Mounce step for step.
Back cut, Gurley from Slauson. That one rolls around and drops.
Great job moving without the basketball. Mounce chipping, got a piece of his man, creating space and catch and conversion at the rim for Gurley. A nice pass from the perimeter.
Adeke trying to work Slauson. He's got 3 fouls. Ty Brewer from the free throw line. The shooter's touch.
Big guy at 6'9", can score from 3 levels. They're showing the mid-range from the elbow. Gets the shooter's roll, as you mentioned, Mike.
6 points on 4 shots today with 5 rebounds. Mounce long on the 3, and David Sloan off the bounce tracks it down.
And a veteran decision. Time and score. Know the situation. Run a little clock. Make Furman get in a stance and guard. Heavy minutes now for Bothwell, Gurley, and Mounce.
Monsanto. What a rebound by Ty Brewer, but it's going to be a loose ball foul called, I believe, on Brewer. There was another Buck that was there. It may have been called on as well. They say David Sloan, who was the secondary body there for the Bucks. ETSU up by 7. The remainder of regulation.
It's a shoot, drive, offensive rebound guy. Scores a lot of different ways. Throws a lot at you.
Furman could really use a bucket here if they're going to mount a comeback. Slauson. Adeke's played great on-ball defense against Gurley. The help from Monsanto. Mounce is open on the other side. Misses short. Gets his own rebound and a foul. Trap between Ty Brewer and Damari Monsanto was Mounce.
Love to see guys follow their shot. Nobody in the gym knows better where the miss is coming off than does the shooter. Mounce stays with it, extends the possession. Baseline out of bounds, 20 on the shot clock.
Monsanto's first, team's fifth. One more to give for the Buccaneers. Slauson against the much smaller Sloan. Rolls across the lane, draws the foul, and will go to the free throw line.
Set play out of the timeout. Or, excuse me, not out of the timeout, but off the baseline out of bounds. Furman shows great patience attacking the weak side block. Slauson with a mismatch. Through contact, he goes to the line for a pair. Now does Bob Ritchie extend with a little pressure after toss number 2.
Slauson second on the team in free throw attempts with 75% on the season, but misses both at a critical juncture of the game. Just 2 for 5 today. Furman haven't gotten there often. When they have, more often than not, they've come up empty. Sloan. Ladarius Brewer steps into a triple! A double-digit lead again! Ladarius has 3 threes, 13 points, and it's back to 10. And now a steal. Ladarius, watch out! The two-handed hammer with Slauson left in his wake.
In the open floor, deflection, the run-through steal, and the finish with authority. If you're Jalen Slauson, what are you doing?
I think he sensed that if that dunk went down, this game may be over.
If that dunk goes down, you end up on a poster at the Shell station.
It's now 12.
At Roadrunner Markets, rather.
And the Bucks closer, who was missing last game against Furman when the Paladins closed it on a 17-6 run, has proven exactly why he is the Bucks' ace in the hole late in games.
A plus defender gets the run-through steal, reaching with that inside arm. That gives you 2 or 3 inches extra extension. Great anticipation, length, athleticism. Deflects the ball to himself and finishes in the open floor.
Mounce from 25 feet, and Bob Ritchie is going to use a timeout as Clay Mounce tries to single-handedly keep the Paladins in this game. He's now got 21. Gives us his Brewer saddled with foul trouble for much of the first half. 4 double-digit scoring games this year for Patterson. Speaking of double digits, that's what ETSU leads by. Furman is going to come up, it appears, woefully short of that 70 mark that they had broken every game this year. The Buccaneers defense has showed up today. Furman bringing pressure to the ball with Bothwell. Ladarius Brewer gets the pass from Sloan. Sloan bumped, and Gurley is out of the game. And you can hear Furman's feelings on the call. Gurley, 11 first half points, just 2 in the second half, and he's having to be held back from giving further grief to the officiating crew of Arthur Vaughn, Nathan Quick, and Byron Evans on his way out of the contest. Showing
frustration. Felt he had a clean pick in the open floor. You have to realize in that situation, the official's going to be a little hypersensitive to contact from the trailing team.
So 1-1 for Sloan. Big free throw. He was the one, Bruce, when it was 40-37 that got 4 quick points, gave ETSU the lead, and since then, they've never looked back.
Using his strength to post and score in the paint, big baskets. At a time where both teams were struggling offensively, but the veteran doing what was expected from him upon his transfer.
Bothwell crashes to the floor. Foul number 7 on ETSU.
And you ask, where's the help? Well, it's difficult to help on that. Furman with 4 shooters on the floor. They spread you. Bothwell turns the corner, gets downhill. It's difficult to help horizontally.
1-1 for Bothwell. Makes the front end. Furman 3-4 on the road this year. Unscathed at home, winning all 7. Do you think the fact that they're, albeit a limited amount of fans, Bruce, but the fact that there are fans in the building today has had anything to do with this outcome? Furman generally struggling on the road, but even the 600, 700 that are here for the Bucks can make some noise.
Very active. It didn't hurt. Keep in mind, Furman's played in some hostile environments at Cincinnati, at Alabama. Actually should have beaten the Crimson Tide and probably would have had Clay Mounce not been in foul trouble.
Heen whistled for an off-ball foul.
True to form, home team appears prepared to take another one in this series.
This is a Furman team that, if all things would have broken their way, really could be 13-1. As Arthur Vaughn, Nathan Quick, Byron Evans all having a conversation perhaps about intentional foul since it was off the ball, Bruce. Jason Shea and Bob Ritchie, or I should say Greg Heyer and Bob Ritchie, very involved. And they're going to go to the monitor.
It's an unusual situation. You had 3 officials with their backs to the field of play with keeping us informed. The guys do a tremendous job.
Perhaps you could hear public address announcer Brandon Hudson announcing a flagrant 1 on Garrett Heen. So they were huddling up and went over to the monitor. Didn't call exactly that, though Silas Adeke misses the first free throw. It's 2 free throws and the ball for ETSU.
Adeke with a little happy feet, finishing on the other side of the SoCon logo.
Had just 1 point against Furman 1 week ago. 10 today, but can't cap off his afternoon in a happy way. Misses both free throws, and ETSU will inbound.
Quietly closing in on a potential double-double. And one contribution that he makes doesn't show up on the stat sheet. The dozens of solid on-ball screens to create space for his teammates. Might be the best screener in the league with that wide body.
Darius Brewer threw the ball away, and on the sideline was Sorrell Smith. So a turnover forced by what didn't look to be extremely tight pressing strategy by Furman, but enough to make ETSU uncomfortable enough to give the ball back.
Probably a break for ETSU. Sorrell Smith doesn't get to that ball. He throws it back in wildly. Furman with numbers, they score quickly at the rim. ETSU at least an opportunity to set the defense. You're going to throw that thing back in wildly. Throw it down to your defensive basket.
Bothwell had it bounce off the rim, then off his head, and Vonnie Patterson threw it to Ty Brewer. What an effort play by Ty Brewer, the transfer from southeastern Louisiana, as he remains down after clattering to the floor, but now pops up.
Sacrificing his body.
And Bothwell was whistled for the foul.
Knew he couldn't secure it. Presence of mind to tap it to a teammate.
Adeke back at the line. Where do you think the difference has been today versus last Saturday, Bruce? You've got a similar margin that ETSU is up that they lost by last week. Is it simply your best scorer, your most complete player, Ladarius Brewer, is back as Adeke gets his 11
I think
points?
it's the intangibles. It's a bailout to say, well, yeah, he brings you 17 and 6 every night. Well, what he does, he creates space. He makes difficult for Furman to dig and to help on the ISOs and the on-ball screening action. Plus, it's made Bothwell play both ends of the floor. He's had to expend more energy on defense. Furman had to spend a lot of time playing from behind. That takes more out of you. So.
Hasn't had nearly the day that he did last week as Mounce airballed a 3. The putback, though, for Heen. No one expected Bothwell, I don't think, Bruce, to have a career high again, but 5 of 14 from the floor for 14 points. A great point made by you that Ladarius Brewer, when he's in there, demands the highest amount of attention from defenders, and a lot of the day it's been Bothwell.
He does, and he doesn't require the ball in his hands. He can play off the ball. He's gotten his points tonight within the framework, the context of the offense. And Bothwell spending so much energy on the defensive end. But he has that high motor, that high energy, but a little more on his mind than was last Saturday at home.
Darius Brewer misses the first free throw, still up by 10. Brewer, 4 games in the non-conference, below 40% from the field. None, though, in league play, shooting 53% from the floor over these 5 games, and is right about that today as well, 6 of 11 from the field. Keene takes an extra dribble and lays it in. Lead down to 9 with 1 minute to go. Sloan quickly fouled by Bothwell. That's his 4th.
Nice leave from Anderson. Bob Ritchie really excited about this recruiting class, which includes Anderson and Heem. That's the combo of the future. Doesn't take transfers. A lot of red shirts. Mounce, a 5-year guy. They develop from within.
Ritchie's done a ton since taking over as head man at Furman. Back-to-back 25-win seasons, 4 straight years with 20-plus wins for the first time in school history. That going back to his last year as an assistant, has tied or set school records in wins each of his first 3 seasons. 23 his first year, 25 each of the last 2 seasons. Plenty more on the resume. The one thing that his team has not done is won a regular postseason Southern Conference championship as Bothwell dead center on a 3. It's a 7-point game. Sloan runs the baseline. Adeke had to catch that one with his right hand, and thankfully he's 6'8" and has those big mitts. Otherwise that may have evaded him, gone out of bounds, and all of a sudden the heat would rise a bit more inside Freedom Hall for the Bucks.
Strategically played by Furman, not defending Adeke, denying everywhere else, trying to get him to the free throw line.
Adeke, good this time.
If you're Ty Brewer, you need to come back and help. ETSU wants him on the line. He doesn't need to be hiding in the front court. Flash to that open area. Make yourself available to your guards.
14 now for Adeke. He is 1 rebound short of a double-double. Bothwell missed badly. And Ladarius Brewer may be able just to dribble this one ahead and get it all the way down to about 12 or 13 seconds. Furman seems to be backing off and will not foul. This is going to be a huge win for ETSU. They're going to move to 5-1 in the conference, winning 5 of their last 6, including today, 8 of their last 10 after a 1-3 start. Starting to look a bit like 2017-18. They started out 2-3. They go on to win 25 games. Started out 2-3 in 2018-19. They'd win 24. There have been some rocky starts in the past, but the Bucks have still always found a way to have great regular seasons. And in Jason Shea's first year as head coach, Buccaneers having another great one in the Southern Conference. As Mounce misses one more 3, Bothwell will do the same, and time will expire here from Freedom Hall. Bruce, your Wendy's player of the game in ETSU's 71-62 victory.
I'm going with Damari Monsanto, 6 out of 8 from distance, 22 points, 8 boards.
Your General Shale final thoughts, Bruce.